there, everyone. Well, this is Pink Lady Presents, a show filled with lives well lived, as you all know. And today is no different. Today I have a gentleman sitting here who is definitely a man for all seasons and all the right reasons. Dr. J. Grossman. I mean, it is our privilege to have you here today, and we are so excited. You are a dentist that I would kill to go to every day. I mean, I don't want, cavities, but I don't care. I mean, I would definitely go to you all the time. Where did you come from? Where were you born? Give us, our audience, an idea.
My mom and sister tell me I was probably hatched.
You see what we have here? Okay.
And I've made fun of my sister for many, many, many years, and then I realized, my parents and my sister are very much alike. I am not, so maybe I'm the one that was adopted. I'm a New Yorker if the accent or attitude hasn't come out.
Okay.
So I was kind of raised with that get up and go and fight. And I also had parents that my mother chose to be a stay-at-home mom, and my father chose a very local job so that, and I did not know this until just before he passed, he chose a job at a fairly low salary because there was no travel. He was able to get me ready for school in the morning and be home in time before dinner to give me a bath. And I didn't know that. What I interpreted was that he wasn't very ambitious or aggressive. So I interestingly swung the other way, because although my dental practice is something I love, my bread and butter, and something I've done for 33 years, I think I've got 10 tax returns. I mean, I'm doing a lot of other things, including my nonprofit.
Exactly.
So I think I swung the other way. And just before my father passed, which has now been 6 years, I said, why didn't you share this with me? He said, your life was going on a certain trajectory. I figured you would figure it out one day.
I love it.
And it was a really great completion for me.
I was going to say, yes, yeah. I love that. Now, where did you go to dental school?
NYU.
Yeah. And when you graduated, you chose the Navy.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate. I started dental school at 19. I was, no kidding, blessed to have only had 2 years of undergrad and had my undergraduate degree waived for early admission. So I was a little, let's say, cocky and arrogant, walking in as the youngest, doctor in the program, and I was drowning my first year. I almost failed out, and it was a moment. Wow. And I had somebody save me. The dean saved me. She brought me into her office and said, you've got like a 40 GPA out of 100. She goes, I don't know if there's a letter grade for that. She goes, what's going on?
Maybe an E or an F down there.
I think we're like X. I mean, it was just horrible. And I said, I am so lost, and this is not what I'm used to. And what I realized was, because I didn't have the upper level undergraduate courses, because I only did my first 2 years, I was lost. So I found somebody, a tutor, who was willing to coach me and mentor me, and I really got my sights straight. Well, fast forward, I'm in the dorms, and there's a open gym. I mean, at that point, it was an aerobic studio, just mirrors. And there was a very attractive young lady that was teaching aerobics. And we're going on our 34th anniversary next month. Yes. So I thought it was just going to be a dorm thing, right? And we met, and she was graduating with her social work, her master's in social work. And I said, will you stay? And she goes, not without a commitment.
I love it.
So I put a ring on her finger, and I went to meet her folks, and they're from a small town called Santa Monica.
California, here I come.
I don't think it took more than 30 seconds on the ground, because it was during the holiday time, during the Christmas, New Year time. I had a ski parker on when I got on the plane at JFK, and at LAX, I was in shorts, and I'm like, what? So I moved out here. So we came here, we had our first kid, and I didn't have a license to practice in California. I only had a New York license. And Pink, they get very upset if you practice without a license. I don't know what that's about.
I don't know. It's a California thing.
So I decided, you know what, let me join the military. I've always wanted to serve. I literally went to the federal building with 3 resumes for the Air Force, the Navy, and the Army.
Right.
And I pulled all the recruiters to the hall, and I said, okay, here's the story. Here's my resume. I did very well in school, and I don't want you to pay back my medical loans. And they all looked at each other and then at me, and they go, what do you want?
Right.
Very simple. I want to know where the base is. I want that in writing.
Right.
And I want to choose the base that's driving distance from Santa Monica because I want to live at home,
Yes.
off campus.
Interesting.
And I let the 3 of them just go fight it out. And within days, they all came back with offers. The
You chose the Navy.
I chose the Navy for a few reasons. First of all, the Navy bases are the best. They're all on water.
Right.
Okay, Air Force and Army sometimes in the middle of deserts. Okay, but have you seen the dress whites?
That's a man after my own heart, everybody.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, really.
That is a smoking hot
Yes.
outfit, right?
So, how long were you in the Navy?
I did one tour.
One tour.
One tour. I went in 1988.
Right.
I was about to get out in early 91, but then the Persian Gulf War took place, so my tour was extended. Fortunately, that was a 3-day war. That got over quickly.
Right.
So I finished, I got out just after the Persian Gulf War.
And your duties were dental,
Yeah,
right?
I was a dental officer. Yeah.
I think that, and so, what, at that time, did you ever think of like staying in the service, or was that not even an option?
Yeah, and it was definitely an option. They offered me to re-up.
Right.
The second tour would have been for sure on a boat.
Yeah.
And we literally just the month before I had our second child.
Okay.
And I looked at my wife, and it was a pretty quick decision.
Yeah.
And I said, I give a major kudos for people who are willing to be deployed and be away from their family. I mean, what our service spouses
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
go through.
That's right.
I mean, I got chills thinking about it. And it's really one of the reasons my nonprofit took off, because I was committed to making a difference to these veterans who have sacrificed so much.
So much.
Forget about the ultimate sacrifice,
Right.
people that are putting their lives on the line.
Correct.
That goes without saying.
Going now to, I have to tell you, because Dr. Grossman is going to end up telling you the story. But we all have stories to tell us, and they're kind of sad in a way, joyful when we feel like we're giving things. And there are a lot of homeless people that we see on the streets. If I'm stopped for a light and there's a homeless person with that card, saying, I'm homeless, I haven't eaten, what do? I roll down the window and I give him some money. Back to a story, Dr. J. Grossman, on how this all began. Please tell me the ramp story.
So I was opening up my practice in Brentwood,
Right.
walking distance from the VA hospital.
Okay.
And I passed the VA every day going home. That was my route. And there's always a gentleman there, a different person every day. I'm a veteran. Will you help me? And I felt guilty. They're a human being.
Right.
And then the conversation goes to, do I give them money? Is the money going to food? Is it going to drugs and alcohol? If I just don't even acknowledge them, what is that saying
Right.
about who we are as a society? I mean, it's such a challenging conversation.
Correct.
But there was something about this one person that I was like, I got to give them something. And I rolled down the window and I reached into my wallet, and next to the dollar bills was my business card.
I love this story.
And the nonprofit was formed in that moment.
And the name of the nonprofit is
Homeless, not Toothless.
Not Toothless.
Yeah.
And what did you tell to that veteran who was looking for help?
I said, I understand you're looking for help. I'm not comfortable giving you money. I am very comfortable fixing your mouth, getting you out of pain, replacing teeth that can't stay anymore, giving you a removable appliance so you could look good, so you could eat, so you could nourish yourself, and so you could go out and get a job. My office is walking distance. And it felt so much better. I mean, even got a chill thinking about it, of just handing out a business card, because the amount of dentistry that I could do far exceeds
Right.
what a donation would
Correct,
be.
exactly.
You know-
A $5 bill or whatever it is. I mean, like, hello.
Exactly.
Right.
I still felt I was making a more profound difference in their life,
In their lives.
giving them a push so that they could grow if
Right.
that's something that they chose.
We'll be right back.
It's about the humans. These humans, those humans, Groovin and Golden. It's about getting more than health insurance and a partner who listens and acts. Humana calls it human care. It's talking to a doctor from your couch or helping you find a cheaper prescription before you ask. It's helping you fix the rugs so you don't fall and keeping you social, online or off. It's getting to know you so you can be your healthiest. That's our superpower. That's human care from Humana.
Would you take us and our audience through a homeless, not toothless process coming into your office for dental care? Take us through the process.
Sure. So the way the process works is usually the VA gives me a call,
Yes.
or one of the
Yes.
organizations affiliated with the VA,
Right.
and they tell us we have a veteran, and I schedule him for care. And I work up the case, and we come up with a game plan, just as I would, Pink, if you were to come into
Right.
my office for dental care.
Right.
Our care is limited to a lot of the basics. Deep cleaning for people who've got gum disease, or regular cleanings, extractions, fillings, and removable appliances, what we call a denture. And that, will certainly get people to a place where they could function,
Right.
they aesthetically
Feel good
look,
about
and they
themselves,
look
right.
good, and they could eat, and they could get a job, and so forth. And then hopefully the transition is they get work, or they get dental insurance, and they could afford, slightly more expensive, extensive dentistry.
Now, is it different for a child that comes in? Because I know you started with children not long ago. I believe it was with, you have a gorgeous board member, Dr. Sharon Stone, Dr. J. And I mean, first of all, I adore her. But for what she's been to your organization, I think it's been phenomenal. So if you can tell us about how
Yeah.
you met her and how'd that go?
Yeah, that's actually a fun story. I
Good.
mean, because you talk about like the circle of life, and
Yes.
the give and the
Yes.
get, and the yin and the yang. I was working on a homeless patient 15 plus years ago, and while my hands were in his mouth, I was telling my assistant that I was going to be mixing some concrete and building a retaining wall at my house. And my assistant has heard me say much stupider things, so she appropriately just nods. And John raises his hand and says, "Hey doc, do you need a hand with that project?" So of course in my mind I'm figuring he wants to work.
Right.
So I said, sure. I give him the address, and sure enough, he shows up. And my house is not an easy house to find, but he shows up. And I find how underprepared I am for this job. I don't know if you ever mixed concrete or saw people do it.
No.
Yeah. I had 3 40-pound bags. We ended up with 2,500 pounds of concrete. So I was off, a little calculation. But I figured, look, I mix cement all day long to glue in crowns.
Right.
It's cement. It's powder liquid.
Yeah,
Just give me the ratio.
Yeah.
I was sure I could do it. And the 20 minutes I allocated took 3.5 days. So, okay, I'm going to stick with dentistry. I'm not going into construction. So anyway, I'm done. And I said, John, thank you. It's breathtaking. I said, I apologize. I did not ask what your day rate was. And my wallet was in my hand. I'm counting out bills. And he got very upset. He goes, why would you insult me after I just worked so hard for you?
Oh.
And then I got a little flabbergasted. I go, I apologize. How did I insult you? He goes, how much money did you put in my mouth? He says, I'm not here to make money. I'm here to pay off the debt.
Wow.
And I was really moved by that.
We're going to have our audience meet John Brennan right now.
Lacking the self-confidence after being out there for 15 years, just, running amok, I really had lost a lot of my drive. And that's the incredible part about the story is not only did Dr. J provide me with my dental needs and put a set of teeth in my mouth here, but he stood by me as a friend and as support in keeping my sobriety. And that was 4 years ago, and to this day, Jay is my very best friend. He is my mentor. He's my dentist. He's been an endless support and rock for me, a true pillar for me to maintain my sobriety. And he's my best friend. I love him to death.
Wow. John Brennan, you are one lucky man, but so are we with Dr. J. I mean, just unreal. There was somebody else that I wanted to ask you about, Dr. Mike and his philosophy. Can you tell our audience about who that is and What's that about?
Sure. As I mentioned, my parents were financially had some restraints, with my mom being a stay-at-home mom,
Yes.
and my father choosing to have a local job so he could raise my sister and me. So with money being tight, Dr. Mike was a family friend. So Dr. Mike's wife and my mom were best friends.
Right.
And I mean, they were at our house for holidays. I mean, you know, we saw them a lot. And his office was a solid hour drive. I mean, that's a long way to go for,
Yeah.
you know, a tooth cleaning, right? But I realized, look, you know, he's either doing it for free or at a discounted rate, and he's friends of the family and so forth. Well, one day I'm walking with him. We were going out to lunch after our cleaning or something along those lines. And I remember we're walking down the road, and this is in Queens. Now, Dr. Mike was a Jewish dentist, and Queens was 100% Puerto Rican, not 99. I mean, it was
Okay.
100% Puerto Rican. And you know, I'm, you know, 10ish, and I'm like, well, this is interesting. And people used to say, Dr. Mike, thanks for taking care of that toothache. My wife's making you a lasagna tonight. We'll get you the $20 for the filling. He goes, I know you will. I know you will. He had this very relaxed, nonchalant attitude. And I remember asking about it. I go, why are you practicing here? And you know, why aren't you collecting as you go?
Yeah.
And he said, I opened up here because I did research, and there was the biggest need. This community really needed dentists,
Wow.
and the money will come. You know, like look at them. You know, like you know, they're like my brothers. You know, they protect me, and they love me, and I love them, and we take care of each other. And he didn't lead an affluent lifestyle,
Right.
but he got a new caddy every 5 years.
I
And
love it.
and for me, that was a big thing.
That's right.
So I came home from that dental visit, and I remember telling my parents, I go, I'm going to be a dentist. And, you know, they didn't even look up from the newspaper.
I get
because
it.
I wanted to be a sanitation man the week before.
Okay.
They did have really cool uniforms, hence why I went into the Navy. It's the uniform. Do you notice, Pink, we
Right,
keep going back
I'm
to...
getting it, that same reference, yes.
Exactly. So, you know, when I looked at starting a nonprofit while I was opening my practice, I was just thinking about Dr. Mike. Like he didn't look at it as a nonprofit. He just took care of people, whether
Yeah.
they had money or not. And it was just a breath of fresh air. It's
love
not
it.
it's not the way we expect doctors to be
Correct.
right now. And when I do see that in my colleagues, I'm moved.
We'll be right back.
At one time or another, every family is faced with mobility issues for a loved one. Call Before You Fall is here for you with all the safety and mobility solutions your family needs. Come see Alex in the Call Before You Fall showroom, or if you can't, they'll come to you in one of their fully stocked service vans. So put your mind at ease today. Call Alex at 1-800-829-1491. Remember, be on the safe side.
I think that is fabulous. I also understand that you received, which I think is great, the Change Maker 2020 award. Could you tell us about that? That's, wow, Change Maker. I love it.
So I got a phone call from the dean of NYU, and NYU is my alma mater. Now, I graduated 33 years ago, so it's a new dean. And he called and introduced himself, and it was a very friendly conversation. And he said, you know, you'll forgive me, but NYU is just rewarded by the publicity you've been getting. Like, you are making us look really good. I said,
Thank you.
I said, okay, you're welcome.
Right.
Fine. He said, I would like to give you a few offers as thanks. I said, such as? He said, I'd like you to give the commencement speech at the graduating class of this year at Madison Square Garden.
What theme? I'm just curious. Naturally, you talked about dentistry, but what was the basic theme that you wanted to get to that audience?
Great question. So I talked about philanthropy, and I talked about how thinking about philanthropy when you're graduating from a
Right.
university with an enormous debt. Okay, I mean, just to put the world to it,
Yeah.
NYU is $100,000 a year.
A year, yeah.
So you got $400 grand for grad school,
Correct.
plus 1, 2, 300 perhaps for undergrad.
Oh, yeah.
This is a mortgage.
Yes,
this is
it
a
is.
big mortgage.
Big one.
And I said,
Right.
how can you even be thinking about being philanthropic when you have debt larger than most mortgages? I said, I want you to think about it this way. I want you to think about this in perhaps a slightly perverse manner. What if philanthropy was good for business?
Okay.
And that was the theme. I said, here are the win-wins. There are going to be plenty of people that are going to be coming in that need your care that perhaps can't afford it. And you're going to get a sense that they're just a great human being and they need a break.
Right.
Well, you know what? You could give them an unbelievable gift by getting them out of pain or helping them out. So consider some of your work to people that just can't afford it.
Okay.
And then start sharing it. And then people are going to come to you and they're going to say, I would rather come to a dentist who's giving back to the community
Right.
than someone
Right.
who's not. So that was the theme of it. And then from that, the NYU school in general, not just the dental school, gave me and my wife this award of change makers, because not only did we hit 10,000 days, but we just hit our 100,000th patient.
How do you get a group that you yourself say, you know what, I got the best group?
When I interview people, first I want to get the feel of whether or not they're friendly and cordial and whether they have the ability to put a sentence together.
Yeah.
And then I said, why don't you come and meet the family and see whether or not it's a fit. I said, literally, like if you were adopting a child.
Okay.
Come into the, let's see what it's like. And then I let my staff take them out to lunch and spend some time with them. And I have my staff come back and say, this is a fit or it's not a fit. And I do the same thing with doctors.
I love that. How many do you have in your particular office now?
18.
18. Wow. Men, women? Yes.
Mostly women.
Can't take this man anywhere. Tell me about Dr. Phil. We're gonna show our audience before you do a short video about Dr. Phil.
Look, a lot of this is returning to health across the board. And one of those that is really helping us to do that is Dr. Jay Grossman from Homeless, Not Toothless, who has offered to help Kathy with a dental makeover as well. Thank you so much for offering to Ted and reaching out to them.
Woo! You know what? I adore him. Some people, there's a lot of controversy. You know what? He's good at what he does, Doctor. Tell me about him with you.
So something interesting going back to the John Brennan story, which I think we left out, which is crucial, and this is the circle that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So John told me, because he ended up living with us.
Right.
He moved in and redid our house.
Oh, wow.
After that first
Okay.
project, my wife says, I've got another project, but you got to bid on it. And he says, great, I would like that work. And then he ended up living with us.
Oh my!
Right?
I love
So
that.
during that stay, we became fairly close, and he used to tell me that he worked for very famous people building houses. And Pink, I didn't really believe it.
Okay.
He
Okay,
goes,
I get it.
he goes, I know Sharon Stone, and I worked with her sister, and I built their house, and I go,
Yeah. Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't believe so. But what? I'm just gonna let that be. So shortly after he was living with me, my cell phone rings. And I answer the phone. He goes, Dr. Grossman, this is Sharon Stone. And I go, yeah, right. I mean, she's never called me before.
Right. Yeah.
And I said, I'm sure this, who is this really? She goes, this is Sharon Stone. I got your number because John is living with you.
Oh my.
And now I am scratching my head because I can't tie this together. So John's sister, who he's now talking
Right.
with, knows Sharon Stone's personal assistant. They're best friends. So John's sister calls Tina. Tina tells Sharon, you're not going to believe this, that this guy's treating veterans. And Sharon says, well, let me reach out to him because he should be treating foster children as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
So I've got Sharon Stone on the board because of a homeless guy. I mean, let's just boil this down. I mean, like if that was a movie, you'd be like, don't believe this, right? Like how can that be?
I know, but we have a saying in my world: "What's varchert is varchert."
Yeah.
What's meant to be, everyone,
Right.
is meant to be, no
Right.
matter what. But she was interested in foster children, which brought her to you. How many children have you done? Is there a statistic on it? so far?
Is there a statistic?
Is there a statistic?
Is there a statistic?
Is there a world tomorrow? Yes.
We're seeing about 15,000 foster kids a year.
Dr. J. Grossman. That is.
And it's with the
blows my
help
mind.
of literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of volunteer dentists and nurses and assistants.
So, Dr. J, if our people out there who I know that they're just absolutely in awe of what you have done and are doing, want to donate, where do they go? How do they find you?
Sure, and thank you for that opportunity, and thank you for considering helping out. So the best way is to go to the website, which is homelessnottoothless.org, O-R-G. On there, when you hit the donate button, there's several ways of donating. Of course, cash is king.
Yes,
However,
yes.
not everybody has cash, so here's an opportunity to do something that costs nothing.
Oh, okay.
We are a recipient of Amazon Smiles, which means if you register Homeless Not Toothless as your preferred charity on Amazon, Amazon will give us a cut out of Amazon's commission, out of their profit.
Goodness, wow.
So if you picture, if we had thousands or tens of thousands of people that signed up, it costs nothing.
Right.
And then we get checks, and we're getting some sizable checks right now. And all you have to do is register Homeless Not Toothless.
I love it. And
There's also a veteran-owned coffee company in San Diego, the best coffee. And every time somebody buys coffee,
what's the name of it?
And it's on the website also, Lone Rider. And
Yes.
but it has to go through my website, so he knows where to give credit. He donates a ton of money. Another veteran-owned charity. And fantastic coffee, like the best Sumatra I've ever had.
I love
the
it.
only one in my house.
I
So there are
love
lots of ways of helping out, but the Amazon Smile to me is like a no-brainer.
that is something that I never even heard of. I mean, we will definitely
heard
tell our
about it
friends.
here.
And
Yeah.
here,
Pink
right.
Lady
On Pink
Presents.
Lady Presents. There we go. Dr. J, to wrap us up, which I said it's way too soon to wrap it up, but we have to. What is next for Dr. J. Grossman and Homeless Not Toothless?
I am looking at expanding Homeless Not Toothless to other cities and certainly other states. And as I'm approaching, that big 6-0 birthday in
Yes.
2 years, I'm looking at how this will be, my lifelong work.
Right.
So that's what's next.
Ladies and gentlemen, my dear audience, you know my thing, okay? My thing is lives well lived. We all say, oh, he lived a great life. She was fabulous. No, I'm interested in people who are alive and changing the world one step at a time, one tooth at a time, one arm, one leg, helping people. And that's what we're doing. And Dr. J, may God bless you and give you many, many, many more years with your lovely family, with all of us sharing Homeless Not Toothless with us. God bless you all. We will see you next time.